Hello and welcome to another Raggy's Beer Review. So today we're going over to a place that I visited this time last week. We went over to Barsham Brewery last week, based near Fakenham in Norfolk, North Norfolk, and this is Golden Close IPA, 5% alcohol, a Norfolk IPA it says. So on the back it says, in rural North Norfolk, on land farmed by our family for generations, we grow Maris Otter barley to make beautifully brewed honest beers. Golden Close IPA is a golden, true to style IPA brewed with malted Maris Otter barley and a blast of Bodicea, if that's how you pronounce it, hops for a flavoursome finish. It's named after a distinctively picturesque field on the Barsham estate where barley is grown. Loving the ethos I get behind this. Taproom was amazing, 5%, drank this on cask and it was sublime. It was a traditional IPA but with a lot of flavour. Tasted amazing. And doesn't matter the style of beer. It doesn't have to be a 13% imperial stout. Too many people hold value to to ABV rather. But a good beer that delivers the flavour is So, as we can see from this, it's a pale gold to gold colour pour. Sporadic carbonation going off. 1.5 centimetres of white head on it. If we're absolutely counting the bloody head. But there you go. It is crystal clear. It looks amazing. Notes of citrus on the aroma. Now, one thing with all beers, possibly not imperial stouts, they may be the thing that doesn't quite fit into that category, but with all beers you drink, the cask version is going to be something very different, very sublime compared. And I knew this. I've tasted lots of beers. I've tasted cask versions, and a cask version at its absolute premium can't be beaten. And that is the case here even. This is a very good beer. The cask version, wow. But still, a cracking beer nonetheless. So, yeah, the reason I bought this is because I had this on cask and its flavour. It reminded me of the traditional IPAs out there with their flavour, with their longevity, and of aroma, of flavour, and a balance throughout that meant you would appreciate the beer itself. And this certainly, that the cask version was that in abundance. And so now I'm going to let this breathe. Why do I talk on beer reviews? Why? Some people at 4 minutes, they've finished their beer review, they're going home. They've wrapped up, they've gone home, they've said, right, I've done my beer review. And other beer reviewers will say, he does his beer reviews in 4 minutes. Yeah. That's all to the good. And you can do a beer review in a minute if you wanted. But you've got to let your beer breathe. Like a fine wine, we let the beer breathe. We do not, 99% of the time, neck a beer in 2 minutes or 3 or 4 minutes, and then go back and get another one. We, 10, 15, 20, sometimes half an hour, and sometimes even longer than that. And in those times, that beer will breathe. And that's the best time. Let your beer breathe. Let it bring out the aroma. And again, the flavour now, it's more reminiscent of a traditional IPA, which is what I got the first day that I tried it, literally a week ago from now. So that's amazing, sometimes to be able to remember what a beer tastes like in its cask form and its bottle form is a great thing. It's a good thing to know, to remember, and pick apart the beers. I mean, if you enjoyed a beer on cask or bottle, and then add the vice, the flip side of it, and see if you enjoy it or even more enjoy it, which I think, for the most part you will. There's a real zestiness that I'm getting throughout. There's a citrus. I'm getting that a traditional flavouring, malt flavouring that's coming through. Quite the kick as well. So pour the rest in. Oh. That was lively. Didn't expect it to go that lively, so these things happen. Oh. It's nice. It is nice to get over to breweries, and I do think Norfolk and Suffolk, East Anglia, they've got some amazing breweries, and I mean, I'm lucky that in Nottingham and around Nottingham we're surrounded, we really are surrounded by a lot of breweries. I mean, if you look at the East Midlands, Lincolnshire, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, Leicestershire, predominantly Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, a lot of breweries, a lot of top class breweries. So I'm in the part of the world, and for pubs as well, where there is such a plethora of amazing beers available to me on a Saturday afternoon. So we go out on a Saturday afternoon, and for the most part we go into Beeston, which is an area to the south of Nottingham, west. I think it's southwest, but anyway, it's down there anyway, that way, from where I am. Anyway, and there's many good pubs in that one area. Predominantly today we've gone to only 3 different pubs, but in those pubs there's a good amount of different beers, like in total next to 40 different beers amongst 3 pubs, and that's not even counting cans and bottles, so it's quite the range. Only one beer in one pub, 4 beers in another pub. Yeah, so only 5 of that range are reciprocated time and time again. So the other, say 35 beers that change all the time on both keg and cask. So, you know, for a beer person, it's fantastic. Anyway, let's get back to the beer in question. And there we go. There's the second half of the pint. And again, 10 minutes in, you know, it's something to be said about taking your time with beers. Maybe some beers, 4 minutes in, you've got you know, there's no change. A lot of it, there's some beers that are like that. There's no complexities that show themselves later. With modern traditional, which is this, I think modern traditional are those sort of beers that do develop their flavour with time. Oh, it's tasting well. It is tasting well. And yes, I've been out for a long afternoon, so oh, I'm ready for a sit down on the settee now. Got to be honest. Yeah, so fantastic to see, you know, and to finally get Barsham Brewery on cask. Will I see this in Nottingham? I hope to. You know, I hope that people who watch Raggy's beer reviews, pub owners, you know, look at this, and for whatever means of transportation, that's something beyond me. You know, get these beers over to local pubs in the East Midlands. It would be good, you know, hopefully for me, you know, to see this. And if there's one thing about the Raggy's Beer Review channel, above anybody else, as you know, I don't really take notice of what anybody else does anyway, is that you look at what I'm doing, you look at the breweries and you think, do you know, as a pub owner, I want them beers in my pub, regardless of where they started off at. And, you know, if there's something that this channel has brought to the game, hopefully that's one of the things. Hopefully. Probably not, but, you know, you try. You try. So for me, cask is king. But a lovely modern traditional IPA with, on the cask, you know, blends into the traditional IPA quite nicely, to be fair. On the bottle side of things, more to the modern traditional. So it's amazing how one beer with the same flavours, same ingredients, can do both sides of an equation, shall we say. Would I drink it again? Absolutely. Out of 5, good 4.3 out of 5 for me. Yeah, very enjoyable. Barsham Brewery, keep doing what you're doing. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. See you soon.